Should athletes be kneeling at sporting events during the national anthem?
Hell no. Hell no.
No.
Yeah, I don't think it's right because our country is the reason why these people are even making millions in the first place. They can go to any other country and they're not gonna make millions like they're making in our country. But they're kneeling because they feel like there's systemic racism, and I personally don't believe there's systemic racism. I believe there's individual racism, but I don't believe our country. Anything I can do, a black person, a Mexican person, an Asian person can do. There's nothing that I can do that anyone else can't do.
Right.
That's what what systemic racism is, and for people to think that's how our country is in 2020 is just ridiculous. So the knees are they're uncalled for. I don't understand why people do it.
I think it should be a choice.
That's just fine.
I mean, I think I would do it. I think I would do it, but I think it should actually really be a choice. Because like you said, there's not just the whole world is just not, with the racism. It's people, it's individuals, it's different people. Everybody is not the same. I tell people all the time they want to get mad. And, like when I do my live videos for my Mo Corp News, they talk about, this white police shot the black dude up the street, this and that. Well, if it was a black police shooting a white dude, would you still feel the same way? I wasn't bothered with, racism. So I'm just like, there ain't no color. It's something that's really ridiculous that it shouldn't been done. But at the end of the day, we got that in all race. You don't just pinpoint one race and say there's racism when there's racism in every race.
Yeah. Bigots come in all colors. All colors.
I get that. I think the issue is a lot of times, even if racist people and people who will operate their businesses with systematic racism are in the minority, a lot of times they're the people with the power. So they have a lot more of effect than the majority of people. You know what I mean? I don't think the majority of people operate on racist terms in 2020, but I think a lot of the people in power do. So it has a lot bigger effect than us. You know what I mean?
Okay, I feel like they should know. Everybody do kill each other. Like white people kill black people kill white people, black people kill black people, white people kill white people. But the police were supposed to protect and serve us. We pay our tax dollars for the police to protect and serve us. A lot of people like to bring up black on black crime when we talk about kneeling, but black people don't kill other black people because they're black. Most of those things have to do with things that go on and, black people who live in poverty, and whoever doesn't come from poverty will never understand why black people are out there killing black people. But for, a cop to just shoot a black man because he's black, I feel like that's a very big issue. And it's bigger things going on in the world for people to just hate people for the color of their skin.
Right.
I agree that the racism is terrible and it still is prevalent, but kneeling during the national anthem, honestly, my views on that, and it may seem drastic, I think that an athlete that kneels during the national anthem should probably be fired. And the reason is that it's about America, and America is
it's about professional football.
It's about a lot of aspects, but the national anthem itself is our national anthem. It's the United States national anthem. Honestly, I don't think that if you're an American patriot, I don't think you should kneel during the national anthem because it's representative of our country. Now, you might believe that the state of the country is not where it should be, but national pride is still one thing. I don't think that they'll ever experience this in Ireland or Africa or something. I think that when they play their national anthem, I don't think they'll ever kneel because they feel pride in their country. I think it's about pride in what you believe in. I think that if you believe in the morals of the country and everything, I don't think that you should be kneeling during the national anthem because that's a sign of respect. It's like if you were at church and you decided to kneel when the pastor says, let's stand up and pray or something, and you just kneel, take a knee. You're showing that you're divisive and you don't believe in what the person is saying.
Right.
I think it's terrible to kneel.
Based on history, what would you say that America's morals are?
I would say that the majority of America,
for black people, what do you think? What do you think the morals have been for black people all these years, and what do you think the national anthem actually stands for?
Okay, So I will say 2
I want to
points
get
on
on
that.
this.
I will say 2 points on that. I will say that one point is that the national anthem was written to involve slavery, and that's something that people a lot of times point at. But it's not written in a racist way. If you can look at it and see what it's talking about, and maybe Katie can look this up, but the national anthem is worded a certain way. It looks really bad, but when you take apart the words and look at what they're saying, the national anthem is not actually racist. That being said, the people that are kneeling, they're taking everything out of context. And I think that the point that they're making, I don't think they're actually relevant. I don't think that they're good points. I think that they need to understand that the country that they're doing sports in and the country that they're making all these millions of dollars in, it's not a overall racist country. Now there is racism in the country, and I think that the laws are written racistly. I think that a black person will get incarcerated easier than a white person. I think that's true. So I think that you need to take some time and protest against that. But I don't think that that's the way to do it, because I don't think that the overwhelming racism that's exemplified by the law system, I don't think that that's necessarily reflective of the national anthem. I don't think that you need to look at the national anthem that way, because I think that if you're kneeling for the national anthem, you're basically saying that all white people are racist. That's what I believe. You're saying that all white people are racist, and all white people, you're grouping all people together by doing that. And that's not right. I do.
But did he confirm that that's what he was saying by kneeling? Was that really what he was trying to represent?
Yeah, that's what I want. Like
I mean,
people really misunderstand kneeling. Like, Shawn, getting your perspective is an example of how people like just don't understand like what the actual reason was for kneeling. Like Kaepernick, he didn't kneel because he think all white people are racist. He didn't kneel because he think all police are bad. He didn't kneel. He kneeled because he needed America to pay attention to what was going on. Like that year he kneeled, around that time, I believe like 4 black men got shot within the same month by police officers. And I think that was his whole reason for kneeling. Oh, and he didn't kneel to say, forget soldiers and we don't care about our soldiers. And he didn't do that to disrespect them. That wasn't his reason for kneeling. His reason was for, people to actually pay attention to what's going on. Like, what's going on with police and black people and police brutality. That was his whole reason for kneeling. It never had nothing to do with disrespecting a flag or disrespecting our soldiers. It never had anything to do with that.
Okay, but can you concretely prove to me how it doesn't do that? How it doesn't disrespect soldiers or disrespect the flag?
Well, I have black friends who are like serving right now, and they would tell me like they it was like I forgot what they call it, but they said that they weren't able to, like, during all these protests, the biggest Black Lives Matter protest that was going on recently, they were not able to participate because I forgot why, like they had the sign to it or something like that, but they were not able to participate. But they did say that they don't feel like it's disrespecting them or it's disrespecting the flag, because and it wasn't only just like my black friends who are serving this country. It was also my white friends, my Hispanic friends. They don't feel like it's disrespecting them. They feel like, you know what, that's right. Stand up for what's right, because this is what's going on. People need to pay attention.
So, in all honesty, yes, I would totally kneel if I went to sporting events, but I don't. Anyways, so yeah, I would totally kneel. Why? Not because of the whole racist shit. No, whatever. I would kneel because, let's be honest, this country's shit right now. It's complete fucking shit. The amount of racism going on and the amount of shooting going on, the amount of just everything going on right now is fucking bullshit. So the fact that this country is in the complete shitters right now, and national anthem, the fuck is there to be proud of? Like, what is there really to be proud of? Everyone's fucking shooting at each other. Everyone's saying super racist fucking things right now. Like, the fuck is there really to be proud of? We're so fucking poor. We're so fucking racist. We're so fucking murderous. the fuck is it really to be proud of right now? We need to fix that shit before we start standing.
Right?
But all
And
that shit
stop,
happened in the
stop.
past. I think a lot of everything that's been happening has started since 2020. Think about it. COVID-19 literally came to surface December 31st, 2019. Right?
Yes, it did.
Look at the timeline. That was when they initially the Chinese government came out 12/31/19. That's why it's COVID-19, not COVID-2020. Kind of interesting that it's all happening on an election year. And on top of that, I know a lot of people don't like Donald Trump. I get it. But if you look at Donald Trump and what he's done for this country, unemployment rate was the lowest. Human trafficking, he actually nailed that shit. There was a lot of China was raping us. And as soon as he put it, honestly, I can't even remember what he signed into effect with China. But when he did it, it was between November and December of 2019, the agreement that he signed with China. And if you read that agreement, in the clause, it literally says, if there is a pandemic, China does not have to oblige to what they agreed upon. Literally, if you read it, it literally says that. So, I mean, there's a lot of it. Kneeling, as far as kneeling, I get it, Tara. I totally get it, and I agree with you. There is racism in this country, but it's hard to get rid of, period, because it's individual. You know, I think I think all lives matter, period.
Right.
I think what we saw with George Floyd was fucking bullshit. That should have never happened to anybody, period. But the way I look at it is we're all human beings, and we should all have the same kneeling for the national anthem. This is something that our country was built on for the past 200 plus years, you know, and kneeling for the national anthem, I don't think that's right. I think that there's better ways to do it. And I think there's, you know, we all need to come together and we need to have reform, but in a right way, you know, because we all get it. We all see it. But the thing is you and I, we don't have billions of dollars to make the change that we need to make. And that's how I look at it.
Okay, so I have a question. Like, what is the right way to protest? Because like when we kneel, people didn't like it. When we protest in the streets, people don't like it. They try to run us over, and the roads are closed off. When we riot and move, people don't like it. What is the correct way for us to protest?
Why should you care what anybody else thinks?
I don't have the answer to that, but I don't think ripping down, you know, national monuments that have been up for 100 plus years, I don't think that's the right way to do it. But I don't have the answer to that. I don't. I think you need to protest. I agree with that. I don't have the answer to what you're asking, though.
I think
we need some change.
I think that the way that Martin Luther King did it was a good way. I think that calling big meetings and having thousands of people to listen to you and just speaking on the injustice, I think that that's a great way to protest. I think that was good, and it was moving, and his speeches were great.
And his thing was no violence.
Yes, I think that was beautiful. I don't think that basically you're bringing America into it. You're bringing the national pride into it when you kneel for the flag, when you kneel for the national anthem.
The way I feel is he's not bringing politics into it if they're putting a fucking national anthem in a goddamn sports game. Like, what the fuck is the national anthem being played at a sports game to begin with? Like, I understand the Olympics if, like, America is the host, but why would you even open the door to make it political? Like, why the fuck would you do that? Especially when you're America. There's people from other countries out there enjoying football games and shit. Like, how awkward is that you sit there through the fucking national anthem that half of the actual Americans don't even want to fucking hear? You know what I mean? Like, the fact that they even play it at football games is weird as fuck within itself. Like, he should never even be in
It's been like that since the beginning.
Political statement.
Think about it.
Like what you said about church, Shawn. Like, if you go into church and you make a display like that, it's a dick move because you're choosing to go to a church. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You're not choosing to go play football, and then all of a sudden you're just fucking thrown into church for 30 seconds before the football game when you signed the contract to play football, not to be some patriot. Like, you know what I mean? It's
Hey, I don't
cool
know.
if somebody is a patriot, but you're not required to be a patriot to play professional sports. At least
I don't know
you
about y'all, but I feel pride in the fact that football is America's pastime. When I played football as a high schooler, it was just good to feel that that's America's pastime. Like it's an American thing, it's an American tradition, and it's spreading to the world. And I have so much pride in America that just the fact that they play the national anthem, that feels good to me. It doesn't rub me the wrong way when they play the national anthem, and I honestly, I would stand up for that. I would say that people who are listening to the national anthem played at football events or basketball games, anything like that, and they're rubbed the wrong way, I would address them and I would say, hey, why do you feel that way? Because as an American is a stirring pot of all different races and all different countries and everything like that. That being said, the pastime of sports, the fact that it's so America based, that gives me pride.
Shawn, I also wanted to add, like, you said you liked the way that Martin Luther King protested and it was peaceful. Martin Luther King, the way he protested, had him assassinated. There were peaceful protests all over the world, you know, but like people like to focus on making Black people look crazy. And a lot of things that people don't know was that in a lot of those protests, the people that came, that were looting and everything came from outside of those major cities, like people from the suburbs. And then like, I'm pretty sure you guys have heard of, what's his name? The guy who pays like actors to come out and help destroy the city and whatnot. Has anybody heard of that?
Oh, Soros, yeah.
Soros,
Yes.
yeah, George Soros.
Like everybody who's been captured in those photos have like all been dressed the same and all Black, and then they just so happen to have like bricks in front of buildings, you know, for people to just go up and grab and pass out windows. And what did you say?
Yeah, there was bricks posted up at places there was no construction. Like that
out of nowhere.
I almost feel like he was.
That's just crazy. That just didn't make no sense to do all that extra stuff. That's where they go wrong. I mean, you don't have to make it violent. You ain't got to make it violent. Why break windows and stuff out for what? That ain't gonna prove nothing. Breaking out windows and stuff. That's just making it a lot worse.
We don't need violence. Like I agree with both you guys. Like we've all seen this. We've all lived in this country and we see it. We see the systemic racism. We see it. We all do. But it's all our individual parts to fix this.
Yeah, it is.
So what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Like do you think rioting had George Floyd's officers arrested, or do you think it was peaceful protesting?
Honestly, like the guy on his neck, like that was wrong. You see the video, like you see it was wrong.
Yeah.
I said, do you think peaceful protesting is what got those officers arrested, or do you think it was rioting?
It was the violent. They knew they had to do something about it, because they knew it was getting rough and they got tired of people tearing up all this stuff. So that's why they did it. It don't make it right, but that's what made them do it. Most of it, that's my opinion. Because if you think about it, when everybody was just doing the quiet, they weren't getting nowhere. So people felt like, well, if we start really making stuff violent, we start breaking stuff and tearing down and fighting back, then look what happened. They got a little bit of justice. And no, it's not right. I wouldn't agree of destroying people's businesses, because if somebody came in and I'm in Mississippi, and it's a lot of Black folks out here in Mississippi. If they was to start tearing up stuff out here because of what happened, I would be pissed off. You know what I mean? Just to be breaking out my windows and stuff. I ain't have, you know, that's just not the way to do stuff. But I believe that when they start doing all the violence and stuff, that's what made them open their eyes and let them know, hey, these people are not playing. They want justice. They want this stuff to stop. But at the end of the day, you know, like you say, there's individuals, people just gonna do what they do.
A lot of times we as Black people, we get emotional and we hop on the bandwagon. Do I think that Colin Kaepernick should have been kneeling for the national anthem? Well, first off and foremost, I don't think that the national anthem should be played at a person's job, and I don't think
you.
that's something that
I don't think it should be played at sporting events. Like, what's the point? I agree with that. I agree with it.
No, but you also should not be protecting your personal beliefs at work either. So we have two issues when we're dealing with that subject and dealing with him protesting. As far as the national anthem being not respected, it's a song, and as a believer, I don't worship or bow down to anything, including the national anthem. And if I don't feel like standing for the national anthem, I mean, my dad is military. He's military, and even when I was on base and we would go to the movie theater and they played the national anthem, no, I would not stand. Why would I not stand? Because America was built on lies, killing, stealing, and destroying.
Right.
The national anthem is about war, is about violence, it is about terror. So
That's
no,
when it was
I do
rough.
not believe
Yeah.
in the national
That's
anthem.
not true.
I do not stand for the
That's
Pledge
not
of Allegiance. Liberty and justice is not for all. And until those things become as they are supposed to be, no, people should not be forced to do anything. Patriotism is about accepting everyone. America is not patriotic.
Right. I think what's supposed to be, in theory, if America is what we want it to be, the beauty is supposed to be that everybody can be themselves and believe their own things as long as they're not harming others directly. So I don't think there should be anything wrong with him kneeling. Like Lucretia also mirrored, if you don't want people to make it a political thing, then don't play the song at their fucking profession. Because it's just a weird thing to do to begin with. Like imagine if you clock in at a call center and then they're like, all right, everybody stand up for the fucking anthem. Like, it was awkward in school. It'd be super awkward as an adult. Like, so I don't even think they should play it if they don't want people to have the chance to either stand or kneel. But I want to get back to Vincent because he probably has a lot on this. And also, I think he said that he doesn't even think any degree of systematic racism even exists. So I definitely want to give Vincent a few minutes here.
Yeah, thank you, man. I got a few things on this because I keep hearing people saying that like the national anthem. The national anthem stands for our freedom. We have more freedom in this country for every single person than anywhere in the world you go. You can't go to another country and do better than you can do in the USA. So for us to try to say our country is terrible against us, I mean, for individual racism is ridiculous because we used to have segregation. We don't have that anymore, right? In today's world, there's nothing holding anyone back but themselves. I feel like self-pity is what really hurts people. And one of the biggest things I feel like people need to wake up to is stop voting for Democrats, because Democrats are the reason why Black people are held in poverty and are killing people as much as they are in Democratic ran cities. So I think people need to start waking up to these people because these people do not care about you. The Democrats are the reason why we feel like there's even racism alive, because they are built on racism. They're the reason why there's a KKK. They're the party of racism, if you guys do your research in the Democrats. And then they want to say that they switched, which is not true. Only 2 Democrats ever became Republican. The rest of them all died Democrats. Racist as hell. But Black people think that they are the ones that are savers. But if you look at their cities that they ran, they are top 18 cities in the country are ran by Democrats, and they all are the worst places to live. Straight up. And you can look up these facts. These are bad cities, and they're all ran by Democrats.
I hear you saying that you do not believe in systemic racism, and I hear that a lot. And one of the things I would like to say is Biden admitted that he created crime bills that impacted the Black community disproportionately. Exactly. Crack versus cocaine. Let's address that. He is a Democrat. So yes, that is a part of the systemic racism. Also,
and Trump
how much
reversed that.
Racist shit Biden has said. Biden has said so much racist shit in the past 50 years.
I don't know how he's getting a pass on everything, bro. How is he getting a pass on all the crap he's saying? I mean, if Trump said the things he said, it would be everywhere. Every single person in the world would hear about this.
Biden, I don't think anybody is comfortable with voting for Biden either. Just like they're not comfortable with voting for Trump.
Yeah, it's an illusion, Vincent. No, the Democrats aren't very high on Biden. Like, they don't really like him very much.
You know what I don't understand? Why is that the best candidate?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Why is that their best candidate? Guy that has
How is that the
like,
best
the
candidate?
Don't smoke and mirrors. Nobody likes Biden. Like, less people like him than Trump.
If you look at him 50 years in politics, he has said so much racist shit.
Mm-hmm.
Go
He
look it
really
up.
has.
When Trump was voted in, part of it was, hey, look, we've had politicians, fucking 30, 40, 50-year politicians. Trump was not a politician. That's why he's rough around the edges. He was not trained as a politician. He was never a politician.
I'm
But-
just gonna say he wasn't educated on it.
He was never
wasn't-
trained
he
on
wasn't
anything.
educated.
That's
But
his
if you
fault.
look
But-
at the
but-
stats and the statistics,
Finish your point
Yeah.
on that one, Lucretia. You and Vincent can debate a little bit here, but did you finish your point a second ago?
Okay, well, where I was actually going with Biden, he admitted that he created bills that systemically affect
That's right.
black men disproportionately than white men with the crack cocaine versus cocaine powder formula. Also, it has been proven that black men are given higher sentences than white men. Kamala Harris is also another black politician who has admitted to disproportionately creating crime bills and prosecuting black men, knowing that they were being charged under trumped up charges. So let's stop pretending like systemic racism is not there. Also, as a black woman, last year, I was working with a white woman who had the exact same education that I had. I have more experience in the field, actually, but because she had been with the company longer, when I moved into her position, they were paying me $2 less, even though they had given her a raise. And mind you, once again, same exact, actually, I had more education. She had just the experience with the company, and I had more knowledge in the field, and yet she was still being paid $2 more than I was. That's not fair at all whatsoever. And I knew my job. That's the crazy part. I actually knew my job, and she didn't have a clue about what the hell she was doing, and yet they promoted her to a higher position, gave her a raise, and she didn't know her job.
That doesn't prove systematic racism, though.
I
That proves
think-
that
It does,
boss
actually, because
might
I
be
reported
racist.
it, and they
If
told me
she's
that the company
qualified
had done
and she can
nothing
do the
wrong, that
position
they were
well, it
okay
kind of
with doing
does, yeah.
that.
But that doesn't mean the country's racist towards you. It means that person that might be in charge could be rather like the white person over you. Doesn't mean the whole country's like this.
No, when you
If
take
they
it
can
to
name-
the EEOC, and the EEOC tells you that that's okay, there's definitely a problem with the system.
I believe that if you look at it, the systematic racism comes in the legal system. I think that a white person and a black person that get in the same predicament, that they commit the same crime, I think that the black person will see much more time than the white person. And I think that that's pretty much a fact. Like, looking at the actual statistics and everything, I think that you'll see that white people get prosecuted much less than black people. Black people do endure a much harder degree of time in their crimes. They get a larger sentence. I think that that's real. Even though I'm very conservative and I believe I'm very big into Trump, and I'm very big into these different issues, I do think that it might be alternate the narrative, but I do think that black people do see a different degree of racism than the average white person.
But you gotta remember something though, dude. Black men are only probably about 6% of the population, but in homicides alone, they're committing at least 50% of them. The reason why there is a higher black population in the prisons is they're committing more crime than most people. I mean, half of it are just the black population. They only 6%. Because and that's what I told you. It's because it's the democratic system. They have done this to you people and or to black people, and I don't know why people haven't noticed that. But if you go to most black democratic cities, they're high violence. Black on black crime is crazy. It's because they play on black people's emotions. And that's the reason why they always call Republicans racism. They always call every Republican they go against racist, if you haven't noticed. Every Republican. And that's why a lot of Republicans don't win, because they're using the emotion from black people, because you guys do get wired up about racism. So they use that to get the vote, but then when they get the vote, they don't do nothing to change it. Nothing.
Yes.
It gets worse.
Hear me out real quick.
I do agree with that.
I agree with that too.
I think that you cannot say that there is not systematic racism as long as there's the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party has been historically racist. And I think that there is systematic racism because the Democratic Party is in power. It's one of the two powers that exist in America. And the Democratic Party is very racist if you look at the stats and the actual facts. And so I think that systematic racism does still exist. Even though a lot of America is not racist, there is still a good 50% of America that is.
Right. It's designed that way, Vincent, so that you don't really see it if you're not looking for it. But it's just like what Lucretia said with like the crack versus coke, or like how they originally pushed menthols, like marketed them towards black people and put all black people in their ads and shit, and menthols were much more dangerous for you. Like, it's a bunch of like small little things that all tied together makes their world way different for a white person in day-to-day life. You know what I mean? Like, so you can't really just deny it on a full scale. You can only just not see it more than you really want to see it, and that's kind of how they design it. They don't want
and this is why I like these facts.
I was recently on a board of what is called the South Community Action Network program here in South Phoenix, and part of what we discussed is gentrification. If you notice, in the black communities, the white communities who then have black people move into them, white people would then move out. It would turn into a black community, and then the cost of the properties and the housing would go down. The value would go down. You'll start seeing, like, me and my brother went grocery shopping today, and it was so funny because he lives around 35th Avenue and Indian School, and I'm in a different side of town. He's like, oh yeah, I like your Walmart. Our Walmart doesn't have this stuff. I'm like, yeah, we're on the, we'll say that. I don't want to go there, but we're on the other side of town. So
yeah, that's where it shows too.
Different. Like, you see the difference. You don't see the liquor stores on every corner in white neighborhoods and in white communities. You just don't see that.
You're right. That's just like out here in Mississippi. I'm new to Mississippi, but my husband is 63. He's been here all his life. He took me to some areas in Mississippi where it was nothing but Caucasian neighborhoods. And he said, you see this house right here? He know these people personally. He said, when black people started moving in this neighborhood, he said all the white people moved out. Now there's nothing but black people in that whole part right there. Like, we're in Moss Point. And Moss Point, at the corner right here where I stay at, you got a liquor store right here. You got a liquor store across the street, and a liquor store at the next corner, and a liquor store at the next light. But then if you go to Ocean Springs in Mississippi, it starts to, like, the farther you go out, it's the more it start looking more nicer. You don't see every liquor store on every corner. But right here where I'm at, you go out there, you go stand at the light, you can count about 500 black people on one corner. I'm not exaggerating. It's a lot.
It's not coincidence that the stores and shit match the demographics and like the amenities and the budgets they have and shit. Yeah.
Right.
It really is. And it's the truth. It really is the truth. So it's just like, my business is right in the center of all this. They've never had like a boutique store like in this area. So I'm sitting right in the middle of this. And at first, I was like, okay, when everybody came in, they was like, oh, it's something new, because it's something different that they haven't seen before. And when you were talking about, Shawn, when you were talking about the differences of African-American men and a Caucasian man, you're right. It's because, like, my friend Rolanda, the one that I'm going to interview, she's going through something like that right now. A Caucasian guy did the same crime that they're blaming her son for with no evidence, and they let him out on temporary bail, but her son has the same exact charge. And they're holding him with no evidence and got a certain amount of days to hold him. And there's nothing been done. And she's reached out to so many places, and it's just a shutdown. We can't help you. We can't help you. It's out of our jurisdiction. It's just crazy. So it's not just the whole world, like you say, it's still here, but it's in different group of people, and it's in individuals' hearts too.
Yes, and I looking back, in November of last year, I was looking at 7 felonies, and those 7 felonies were for crimes that I was pretty much innocent for, minus the possession. I had 1 possession charge. Everything else I was pretty much innocent for. And I went to court and I was listening to people going for the same charges. And because my paperwork said I was black, going against people who were white, I was hearing people going for the same charges, and they were getting much higher sentences. I mean, much lower sentences. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And you can talk to people in there and see that. Yeah.
That is what needs to be fixed, man.
I mean, and I do believe that sometimes we do hold ourselves back by not accepting each other. I think we have a lot of hypocrisy in the Black community, where we're going to white people and saying, we're different than you and we want you to accept us, but we oftentimes don't accept those in our community who are different. We're oftentimes putting those people down who are different, but then we want to be accepted. So I think we as a community need to start focusing more on what we need to do better, and start coming together and stop focusing so much on the racism, and start focusing on making changes at home and making changes and doing better within ourselves.
You have to. You absolutely right, because there's a salon out here, and they don't do Black people hair. So in my boutique store, we have a hair center in the back, and I've had different race people come and they say, "Do you guys do?" You know what my door says? My door say, here at Signature Smooches, we do not discriminate. All races welcome. I do Mexican people hair, white people hair, Black people hair. It don't even matter. When you come in there, it's just like everybody is treated the same. And I think if we get a lot more people to doing the same, you know, it does. Little bitty things make a change. When somebody grab my flyer and they see that I got that one word on there, and I'm an African-American woman, and I got cards and flyers and on my door of my business, it says, we do not discriminate, all races welcome. People be like, wow, that's awesome. You know what I mean? Because it's a little bitty thing that can make a big change if people just start doing it. Because they holding themselves back. I'm not going to hold myself back for nothing. I don't care what color somebody is. I'm going to do whatever. I'm going to talk to whoever. I'm going to be around. Yeah, I got friends of everything. You know, every race. You know, I don't even see color. And that's how I brought my kids up. But then you got a lot of people, and there's people in my family that don't like white people. But that's their choice. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's just little things. It's little bitty things that can make big changes if people just do it.